In today's FX markets, let's take a look at the Japanese yen futures as they're realizing some downside for a second session, and today's price action is now pushing that September future, which is the most actively traded future, to new contract lows. And looking out a little longer on the time frame, or much longer on the time frame, the Japanese yen is now trading at nearly 24-year lows today as we continue to see downside price action in the pairs trade, and particularly when you look at the Japanese yen relative to most of the other major FX markets today. And I think when you look at some of the driving factors, a lot has to do with the Bank of Japan and its mixed message recently as far as monetary policy, particularly when you look at it relative to other central banks across the globe that are in the tightening camp right now. You're seeing, again, central banks either raising rates or indicating that they're going to raise rates and also draining liquidity, where Bank of Japan continues to not necessarily deliver that message. And certainly when you look at some of the dynamics that's happening in Japan relative to the rest of the world, their inflation front, you're looking at inflation running about 2.5%, so really not too much over target. And when you look at some of the other parts of the globe where you're seeing inflation running at a much higher level, so it does allow the Bank of Japan a little bit more wiggle room. But nonetheless, when you look at the impact on the currency and the pairs trades, it does appear to be a very significant driving factor as to why we're realizing further downside in the Japanese yen futures today. Looking at the general trends, as I pointed out, the Japanese yen continues to push down to multi-year lows, almost quarter-century lows versus the U.S. dollar today. But when you look at it versus other currencies today, really, we're seeing the pairs trades across the other currencies stronger versus the dollar today. Really, the only outlier is the Japanese yen. So therefore, we're seeing the yen weaker versus most of the other currency markets today as well. So that dynamic playing out here for a second day where we're seeing weakness in the Japanese yen, some moderation in the other currencies, and actually relative to the dollar today, we're seeing most of the other FX markets stronger on the session.